Okay, so here we've got Xvar'en Tiger's Protean deck that he is playing today. He's got the Protean, Spore Mass, Rock Golem Pugilist, Rock Golem Mimic, and Low Country Cutthroat. And for his tactics, he's got Aposematic Husk, Evolution/Devolution, Hardened Hi-Fi, Explosive Sporocarps, and Saprotrophism. And then looking at his basic hunters down here, this is his lineup. So that's what we're looking at. Let's go ahead and take a look at Leviticus' Xvar. He's got Xvar'en'kur, the Mercenaries, Forge Father, a couple ways to turn into threes, the Reverend, Faithful Servant. Then he has Day of Ascension, Ultimate Sacrifice, Recruitment Drive, Retreat to Tunnels, and Secret Tunnel. And down below here is his fighter layout that he's got going for this matchup. Okay, so it should be a pretty fun one. First expansion game on the channel. Let's go ahead and see how this one turns out. So first they decided to see who was going first, and I believe that Leviticus won that one, and so the Xvar deck will be going first. So he draws his card, and he gets Xvar out right away, so that's some pretty good instant pressure, putting him out, putting a cultist underneath of him. So let's see how Xvar'en responds. He goes ahead and puts down a Primal Hunter 3 down immediately, hoping to get Xvar off before he can generate too many cultists, I think is the hope there. And for his second action, I think he drew. Then going on to Xvar's turn, he moves Xvar to the side, puts a second cultist underneath of him. And then for his second action, he plays Faithful Servant. So anytime you have Faithful Servant out right at the start of a Delguan deck, that is a good thing for the Delguan player. Let's see what Xvar'en does around this. So he moves up Primal Hunter 3, hoping to put some pressure on the two of them. He also puts Low Country Cutthroat out. Leviticus is going to go ahead and bump up Xvar with the Faithful Servant and then move him into that corner, not next to the Primal Hunter 3, putting his third cultist underneath of Xvar. Looking at Xvar'en's turn, he is going to play the Protean, and there was some debate as to whether he would get a cultist underneath him at this point. I think they ruled yes in this game, but I think the official ruling by SPI is that when he deploys, he doesn't get actions upon deployment, and so that probably shouldn't have gotten a cultist, but that is how they played it. Then we went ahead and moved the Primal Hunter to the left over here, and like I said, there was a lot of talk in this game about how the Protean would interact with Xvar, since that's a little bit of a more confusing interaction, but they went ahead and put Xvar down here. Leviticus got another cultist, and he moved Faithful Servant away from that Primal Hunter 3. The good thing with the Protean with the Low Country Cutthroat is that puts a lot of pressure on Xvar, because Xvar would lose to the Protean, since the Protean would be a 4 attacking or being attacked by heroes. Wyatt is going to go ahead and put the Hulking Spore Mass down, and so that's also some good pressure to be able to have some Spore Colony generation soon. Leviticus is going to go ahead and move his Faithful Servant to the side and put down Xvar again, getting yet another cultist. So at this point, he's got a pretty healthy cultist stack underneath of him down there. Looking at Xvar'en's turn, let's see what he's going to do here. It looks like he draws for his first action and plays the Hulking Spore Mass forward. He drew for turn, moved the Spore Mass forward, and then played a Primal Hunter 1. Then on Leviticus' turn, he's just going to go ahead and play Forge Father and trade with that Primal Hunter 3 using Faithful Servant's ability. Forge Father didn't come in fatigued. Okay, so Xvar'en's going to go ahead and move the Protean forward and keep Low Country Cutthroat next to him so that he can keep those bonuses using his ability there. Okay, Xvar decides to go ahead and attack the Hulking Spore Mass. They decide to play 3 Spore Colonies here. I'm not sure if all 3 of those should have been able to go there, or if one of them should have been somewhere else, but that's how we played it. So Xvar popped that one, so he is now a 2. And then Leviticus is kind of looking at his options here, decides to kill that Primal Hunter 1, but he is still a 2 at this point. And I accidentally cut this, but Xvar'en goes ahead and takes that trade with Xvar, being able to have that +1 against heroes, and Xvar being a 2 because of the Spore Colony. Then he goes ahead and bumps back the Protean, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at Leviticus' turn. He's going to go ahead and pop that Spore Colony and play a Soldier 3. Then for his second action, he decides to pop the next one and play an Echo Hunter 2. So luckily for him, he doesn't have any enemies next to those two Spore Colonies, so he doesn't take a whole lot of disadvantage by popping those. Okay, coming over here to YN's turn, he's going to go ahead and play the Pugilist, which can only be attacked by fighters in stacks, which is now true for the Protean as well. And he's going to play Hardened Hi-Fi, which plays a Spore Colony and makes it so that if Leviticus moved into that Spore Colony, his fighter would die. But he's going to go ahead and move up that Echo Hunter and draw for his second action. Then looking at YN's turn, he's going to go ahead and start chipping off of those cultists. So he takes an attack into the cultist and then draws for his second action. Leviticus is going to play the Underchurch Reverend on his turn, which is another great way to generate more cultists, and he is going to play the Mercenaries on top of the Faithful Servant and ditch a Echo Hunter 1 as the payment for the Mercenaries. Coming over here to YN's turn now, he's going to go ahead and keep chipping at that cultist stack, and then he, for his second action, decides to draw. Going back to Leviticus now, he is going to get a cultist into his hand with the Reverend. He's going to go ahead and pop the Spore Colony with his Echo Hunter 2, and he's going to move up the Mercenaries right next to the Pugilist. So he definitely has a lot more board presence than YN at this point, which could be problematic for YN, but let's go ahead and see how this plays out. He decides to go ahead and trade with the Mercenaries right at the top there, exposing the Faithful Servant yet again. And then he is going to play the Boulder Brute 3 right next to the Protean. Okay, so moving on to Leviticus's turn. He is going to move this Hunter to the right, and then he's going to take a look at his options, decides to move this Soldier 3 forward to pressure the Protean. But that was a misstep on his part because he forgot that the Protean has the benefit of the +1 against soldiers because he was next to the Brute. So he gets that free kill into his Soldier 3 and moves his Brute 3 into his gates. So that was great. Great option for YN that turn, but he still has a smaller board presence. Leviticus is going to go ahead and put in the Crusher Brute 3, attack the Protean, and kill it right away, which reveals the Protean's cultist, which he had played upon entering the field. Next to Xvar. Now he is sieging there for his first action of his turn, and then YN's going to go ahead and stack a 2 Brute on top of that 3 Brute in his gates. Okay, so a Soldier 2 was sieged from Leviticus's deck, and then he's going to go ahead and play a Crusher Brute 2 and attack with him immediately because of Faithful Servant. YN's going to go ahead and chip off the top cultist on that stack for his first action of his turn, and he's going to play a Fungoid Soldier 2 next to him. Okay, moving on to Leviticus's turn. It'll be interesting what he does here. He moves forward the Brute 2 and then plays a Brute 1 underneath his Faithful Servant, hoping to discourage the soldier from moving up, but the soldier does attack, but it looks like he could get eaten pretty easily. But he plays Aposomatic Husk, which would make them have no traits, so he doesn't have any disadvantage against the Brutes here. Unfortunately, Leviticus has a really great play here, and he plays Secret Tunnel to go ahead and pop that construct. Then he's going to go ahead and get that free kill with the Crusher Brute 2 over the Soldier 2. So nice plays by both of them, but yeah, really fortunate for Leviticus that he had that Secret Tunnel option in hand that he could go ahead and pop and get rid of that annoying option. So YN's in a bind, but he's going to go ahead and bump off one of the cultists here. And then for his second action, he's going to stack a Boulder Brute on top of here. Leviticus is going to take that trade with the 2 Brute 1s and then move up his Crusher Brute 2 into that corner in the back row. And then looking at here, we've got Saprotrophism. And so he is going to give his Boulder Brute a Xvar's ability so that when he attacks that cultist, he generates a cultist underneath him to kind of build up his defenses and build that stack in its number. So that's a pretty neat play. and then he's going to trade the 2s, Leviticus will, and play an Echo Hunter 2 into his gates. So moving on to Xvar'en, he's going to play a Hunter 2, and then I believe he's going to stack on top of that to a 1 right here. So he's got a Hunter stack next to a Brute stack. Xvar'en's going to move his Echo Hunter 2 over, play Ultimate Sacrifice to get that trade up with the 2 into the Boulder Brute 3. Okay, so not looking great for Xvar'en at this point with the pressure right next to his thing, especially because Leviticus for a 3rd action played Retreat to Tunnels, which was free, and I believe he said to put 6 cards if possible on the bottom of the deck. And then Xvar'en for his turn, he's going to go ahead and trade those 2 cultists and draw a card. And then over here, Leviticus bumps up this Hunter 2, plays a cultist. Xvar'en decides to shift over this stack. Oh, no, excuse me. I think I might have spoke too soon. No, he does shift over the stack for his first action. And for his second action, he draws another card. Okay, so Leviticus is going to go ahead and play another cultist on top of that. In fact, he just plays 2 cultists, building up a nice big defense in front of his gates. Okay, moving on to Xvar'en's turn, he draws a card, so it looks like he only has 3 cards in hand at this point from the Retreat to Tunnels. Then he's going to go ahead and play a Fungoid Soldier 2 and a Fungoid Soldier 1 on a stack right next to this Hunter stack that he has. Moving on to Leviticus's turn, he keeps generating these cultists, by the way, something I haven't really touched on. So he has a bunch of cultists as options because of the Reverend. Then he's going to play a Deep Rock Soldier 1 right over here and play another cultist on top of that stack. Moving on to Xvar'en's turn, he's going to use both of his actions to shift those 2 fighters over to the side, putting some pressure on that Hunter 2. Okay, and Leviticus takes a look at his options, decides to move over this Hunter 2, and for his second action, he is going to play another cultist there. So I think he has 5 in that stack now, if I'm correct. Okay, and then Xvar'en's going to move up the soldiers and play the Rock Golem Mimic, targeting Ultimate Sacrifice as the tactic so that he can trade up that 1 soldier into that 2 Hunter. Okay, so looking pretty interesting here. Leviticus is going to go ahead and bump up the cultist and put a Brute 1 in his gate. So let's go ahead and see how Xvar'en Tiger responds to this one. Looks at his options and again decides to shift over both of his fighters for his 2 actions. Okay, look over here, he's going to trade with that 1, play Day of Ascension to make his cultist a 2, and then he is going to take that trade and slide that cultist stack into his gates. Okay, so that was the game. Really interesting one. I think one of the problems in this one with Xvar was that cultist stack that he generated really lost Xvar'en Tiger a bunch of tempo, I believe, and so that was a pretty interesting way to affect that game, was essentially just having that stack there for him to deal with. Okay, so that's the match this week. Remember to follow my channel. I'll be posting matches weekly. Please leave feedback for the next one. Remember, if you want to feature in one of these, hit me up in the Goodneck Discord at GoodneckGuy, and to like and subscribe. We're almost to 50 subscribers, which is really cool. And if you haven't yet, consider entering my tournament, Goodneck Guy's Glorious Goodneck Grapple, in the organized play channel of the Discord. Got a bunch of people who are going to be involved in that one. It's just going to be a fun, not super serious, just getting a bunch of games tournament, single elimination, and we'll see how that one goes. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.